Construction.
What's up, everybody? It's Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com, youtube.com/hardyconstruction, as well as facebook.com/the Hardy Construction Videos Comp, and
The Dunes Hotel.
and today's film is
Jason X.
Jason X, a 2001.
Evil
It says
gets
it's-
an upgrade.
It said it was released 26th of April 2002, but if it was made in 2001, now we know what happened that following September. Jason Voorhees returns with a new look, a new machete, and his same murderous attitude as he is awakened on a spaceship in the 25th century, a.k.a. We Ran Out of Ideas. Directed by James Isaac, who died in 2012. Written by Todd Farmer. Anyway, yes.
Do you think
the
his
director
death
died,
was
so-
related to this movie? Like the shame of it, maybe?
I sort of felt bad because he was like 51 years old and he died of a pretty horrible, like, cancerous
Oh.
kind of thing. So.
No, that does suck, of course. I'm joking.
All right, so it stars Kane Hodder, the fan favorite Jason. Me, I can give a shit less who plays Jason. Jeff Geddes, he ain't nobody. Lexa Doig as Rowan. She's the main character, and who cares about anybody else? There's some robot lady played by Lisa Ryder. So this film was
Who
released
plays who plays the main sergeant guy, the cool black dude that wears the suit?
Oh, you see things in colors, huh? That would be Peter Mensa. He's actually you saw 300, right?
I totally recognize him. Like,
Yeah, I know. I've
sure
seen
from
him
what-
before. I mix him up a lot with Jamon Hansu, even though they hardly look like each other. They're just bald guys. But yeah, he's the guy who says. what
Oh,
does he
he's
say?
in
He goes,
300. That's where I know him
Yeah,
from.
he's the guy who goes, "Are you mad?" And he goes, "This is Sparta." And he kicks him. He's the first guy that gets kicked right down that hole in 300.
Right.
Apparently, I think he's like a karate guy, and he's not in a lot of movies. He should be in a lot more. He's like a cool looking dude, and he's like, he has a good screen presence. He should be like, if anything, he should be like the new Candyman. He'd be pretty good.
Well, you know what? Maybe after this fucking movie, he lost all his credibility.
they like blacklisted him.
Yeah.
That's like the actual phrase. That wasn't like racist or anything. Anyway, so this film follows up. It's the 10th Jason film, hence the X in the title. And like any film series that runs out of ideas because they repeat so much, they take it to a new setting, which is outer space, and repeat the same shit that they do in the other movies. So
No, but
what's
it's
your
so
history?
much worse because I enjoy the other movies. As stupid as they are, I enjoy all of them. This is the worst. I didn't enjoy a moment of this. Like, it made me
Here's
want
the
to punch
thing.
it.
I remember when
What?
I brought this up a while back. I remember there was two movies that I never wanted to review on this show, which was Hatchet, of course, and then Jason X. And
Hatchet
you're like,
is fun. This is
here's
not
the thing.
fun.
Here's the thing. You were like, no, Jason X is gonna be fun. It's fun. It's fun. You said this before in the past. I'm pretty sure in one of the old episodes.
I'm sure.
And now you
I'm
watch
sure I
it.
did.
Yeah, and now you watch it, and you didn't have no fun, right? So leave
No.
Hatchet alone. Leave me alone with these movies. They're horrible.
No, Hatchet actually is fun. This is not fun.
No, Hatchet sucked. You know what it is to. You know
And
how many
what?
bad
You
movies.
know, Kane Hodder's in Hatchet too.
I can give a shit less about King Hodder. I hope he doesn't hear this. But you know what's funny? It's like, you know how many bad movies I watch, and then I'm like, nah, I don't want to put Danny through it. So I'm actually a nice guy.
You put me through some. You put me through some. Really,
That's for the sake of comedy, but I've seen some real bad. You know, like there's a
that
difference.
Ginger Clown thing we did.
Okay,
recently,
here's the
that
thing.
was-
Here's the difference between Ginger Clown. We can laugh about Ginger Clown.
I
and
couldn't
then we
laugh
talk
about
about
it.
it.
I was almost
We go.
crying when I watched
But
it.
there's also the other type of horror films that are so boring and bad that it's like, oh, why did I just waste like an hour and a half? So I save you from those. I only show you the really horrible ones. So fuck you
Yeah.
for saying Jason. Even though I think I mentioned Jason X is probably what we should.
Well,
have
we
done
were
this year.
doing worst of the classics. So
Yeah. So thankfully it's over. But yeah, Jason X. I remember. What is your history with this movie? Is this the first time you've
hearing
seen
you
it? Or?
talk about it, I don't think I've ever seen it. I feel like I'd
Wow.
remember it if I did.
I remember seeing this during when I worked at a movie theater. This was years ago, obviously. This must have been 2002 because I don't think I was working around. I was working around 2001, and then the towers fell down at 9/11, and then it was like September. We didn't get back to work till October, I think, maybe,
Wow.
or late September. Yeah, and it smelled like burning fucking. Everything just smelled like burning buildings everywhere. Even the fire was over, it was like a week later. It was still
Yeah.
burnt. You could smell.
Well, the whole
fucked up
city
shit
was
going on.
fucking engulfed in that shit.
Oh yeah, and
It
like
sucked.
for a year later, I had like a cough for like a week. It was like disturbing. Like I'm glad nothing else happened, but God can imagine the people that died, right? All right, very good. This is a 9/11 fucking tribute episode. Jesus. Anyway, so I remember seeing this film packed with people laughing and clapping, I guess, at the right parts.
Oh,
Myself,
God.
I could not. It's a crowd movie.
That would actually make me like hate it even more if people were actually clapping.
This movie was made for a certain audience for Jason fans, and I guess maybe Jason fans like it.
No, but I'm a Jason fan. This is not good.
But I'm wondering what kind of Jason fans are we? Like, I am a Jason fan. I'm not a fan.
Jason like fan. I don't flip out, but like I've seen most of the movies of like the 20 freaking movies. I've seen them.
You know what I pictured? You know, did you ever see? You saw Half Baked, right?
Yeah.
You know, in the part when I think it was the really stoned guy, the guy with like the crazy
the
Jim
kindergarten
Brewer
teacher that kills the horse or whatever.
No, not him. The other guy, the Jim Brewer guy. And he goes, "I'm not gonna flip out, man." That's what I just figured you'd watching like Jason movies and flipping out with like you had a Hawaiian shirt on and one of those lays on, dancing, watching Jason films. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm not like I think Jason to me is my favorite aesthetic looking out of all the slashers.
I've been more of a Child's Play guy my whole life than Jason.
Well, I could see that. Chucky is way more entertaining as a character himself. Yeah. He's just very funny. It's like I would watch a Chucky film over a Jason film, honestly. But I do like Jason. I do like his design. I like how he's just that. Even though he is a play off of Michael Myers in a way, I mean, there's no question about it. He's still
They're essentially the same.
He kind of carved his own. Oh Jesus! I didn't even mean to
carve. Look at that pun.
He carved his own way into the horror pantheon of villains and stuff like that. Like Freddy can talk shit, Chucky's funny, Jason is this walking guy. Yes, with a mask on. Leprechaun is
he's
funny
like
too.
A zombie sort of thing. Michael Myers is the only not supernatural one, but apparently he's evil.
Oh yeah, and I remember part 6. He was created by a cult.
Yeah,
and
so it's like they took the only thing that differentiated him and took it away.
Yeah, that's the thing. Although, like, I guess in by what was it, Halloween 6, the last time that we saw that he was like he had to be like 50 or 60 years old walking around with that mask on, but he's still like young, I guess. Anyway, but yeah, so Jason has this rightfully so is in the pantheon of horror monsters, and this one I was kind of dreading because like any horror series, you always know that they're going to change it in some way, and they'll probably reboot it. And like once they take a horror character to space, it can go awful or real awful. I mean, we saw
Leprechaun. Actually, looking back on it, is a great movie.
I wouldn't go that far, but it was entertaining because it had the Leprechaun in it. I mean, listen, Leprechaun 4 ain't no Leprechaun Origins. Or if you want to see something that
Leprechaun Origins is actually like unwatchable. Leprechaun in space is fun.
Yes, because you know why? Because the Leprechaun's in it. And Leprechaun himself, the character, is entertaining enough that he can carry a shitty movie and
Although I gotta say, Leprechaun Back in the Hood is really bad. Like, not fun to watch at all.
But Jason X, so I think what was the first film that really took... We're not talking about like Aliens. Obviously Aliens was the first one that did it. But that film was based in space. The movies that like actually had like character... Well, I guess Critters is the first one that sort of did it. Even though the Critters originated in space. So I guess that's sort of, you know what I mean? It's the same shit. So it's not really stretching it that they would do a complete sequel in space. Were there like big names in Critters in space? I'm pretty sure there were like actual like big actors in Critters, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember. It's been a
okay. I'm mistaking Critters 3 with another action horror film in space. But anyway, Critters 3 took place in space, and I remember that being the first one to me where I was like, oh, they took a horror franchise into space. Wow, they really fucked this up. And then after that, I think was Leprechaun in space, right?
Yeah.
And then was Jason in space.
Maybe we'll get Chucky in space. Do you think they'll do that?
I'm pretty sure... Oh, no, actually, it was Critters 4 that was in outer space. Critters 3, I guess they still were around the city.
Was that the one where, like, I remember there's a guy on the spaceship who's, like, a drug addict, and he goes into the pharmacy?
I never watched anything past Critters 2, so I don't know. Critters 4 was in 1992, so that was in outer space. And I remember you knew a series went right down the toilet because I walked into the video store, and there was a giant poster of Critters 4, and it was in space, and I was like, oof. I was like, yikes, that's bad news, man. So anyway, I think there was also a Hellraiser in space. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, geez.
Which is like which is another fucking unbelievable fucking embarrassment to a horror franchise. Hellraiser was like one of the ones that like you couldn't believe how bad those fucking things went to outer space. I mean,
well,
it went to outer space.
You can believe
man.
it, but it's
I'm pretty
painful to
sure.
watch.
I think I remember seeing a sequence in that film where there was like these twin actors. Like there was these actual guys that used to, for some reason, were a thing back then, like the late '90s, and they were like in the film, and then they were being turned into like a Cenobite or something, and it was like mutating them into one person with two heads. Very bizarre film. Anyway,
David Cronenberg was in Jason X.
Yes, this was cool. Jason X, seeing David Cronenberg. I could have sworn David Cronenberg had a bigger role in the film because I mistook him for, that older man.
They probably spent their entire budget getting him into this movie.
Yeah, he only worked for one day, obviously, and it's cool to see. I like seeing David Cronenberg because now with this podcast, I've seen more of his movies than if I wasn't listening to this. If I wasn't on this podcast, I probably would have never seen more than 2 or 3 of his films. And seeing him pop up in this film, I mistook him for, the older guy. Because when I saw this years ago, obviously I saw it in like 2002, the last time I saw this film.
What older guy?
The older guy that was the professor was saying, "Oh, I need money," and then the older guy's like, "Oh, if you have Jason Voorhees, you'll get money for his body." That I mistook that guy for David Cronenberg for some reason. This was 2002. I don't think I really knew what David Cronenberg had looked like, honestly. But it's nice to see David.
Nightbreed.
You're right, but I don't think I had seen that film at the time. But it was nice to see David Cronenberg in the film, and they gave him a nice chunk of cash so he could make one of his body morph movies, and just had fun doing it. But so this film starts out. I think it's obviously after Jason Goes to Hell, which was Jason Part 9.
Jason Goes to Hell, like I think they just disregarded the end of that.
No, I think it's right because he's in hell by the end of it. Well, that's true. I guess did they blow him up? I don't know what they did with his body.
Didn't he turn into like a child or something? Like
no, that was Part 8 in Manhattan. Part 8 in Manhattan when he gets that was an even more improbable ending.
Oh, is that
like,
from the toxic waste? He turns into like a child or something. Like I'm trying to remember.
It was like the reverse of the Toxic Avenger. Yeah, he was hit by sewer water that I guess was toxic. Although it didn't affect the walls or anything else, like the old brittle walls. Nothing got affected by the toxic acid, but he turned into a child. That's what happened. It was reverse mutagen. So anyway, this film starts out with like images of hell and blood. So I guess I always thought for some reason I was overthinking it. Obviously, when I was watching it, I was like, "Wow, hell is in Jason's."
There's no reason to think. In this
movie. Right. I was watching it thinking, "Wow, this is pretty cool. Hell is in Jason's mind." So we're seeing his. I was getting all philosophical about it. I was like, wow, his mind is in hell even though his body's here. That's pretty neat. Even though I'm like right now watching like, no, it's just actually pretty neat special effect opening. So we see all these people messing around with Jason's body and, taking samples. I hate how bad his hair looks. He has like a bad like old man's hairstyle, like nappy hair and stuff. It's all white and gray.
I hate everything about him in this movie.
Here's the thing, yeah, it's true. It's really bad.
Super form at the end, like, oh my god.
It's also weird that because a lot of people love Kane Hodder's portrayal. I don't know. I mean, I'm only guessing because there's so many things going.
I mean, I think it's cool.
I don't know.
I think it's cool that like it's one guy is Jason the whole time, pretty much. That's cool. But like,
you know who my favorite Jasons were?
He doesn't really do much. Like he just walks around and stuff.
Right. You know who my favorite Jasons are? The guy that wasn't Jason. Jason from Jason. Jason
vs. Freddy.
I think it was. No, remember Jason Part 5? The one where it was like a guy pretending to be Jason, and Jason was dead the whole time?
Is that the one
Jason
before
5,
is that the one? Oh, yeah, okay. That's the one before he gets resurrected by electricity.
Right. Yeah, so that was, that Jason, and obviously the Jason from Part 6 were my favorite Jasons, just because the one in Part 5 was like a lean Jason, like a skinny guy running around and stuff like that, and Part 6 he was the more, although that might be, Kane Hodder in that one. Let me just look it up right now. I don't know. We're kind of getting really deep into this. Why not? Who gives a shit? But Part 6. Friday the Jason. Anyway. Though I don't know why people make it such a big deal about Kane Hodder, because he's like the one. I guess he's the most vocal one, and he like really gets pissed off if he doesn't.
Well, he was really pissed off that he wasn't cast in the Freddy versus Jason thing.
Yeah, I like that Jason too. I mean, who gives a fuck?
It's a fucking guy in a mask. I mean, I respect the guy, but like, when you break it down, he's literally just a guy in a mask walking. It could be anybody.
Yeah, okay. The guy in Part 6 was called C.J. Graham. That Jason was pretty cool. Cause
the guy who plays
me,
Michael Myers could be playing him. Like, we wouldn't know.
Yeah, here's the thing, because I think he says there's no little nuances. I think a guy that I know actually said that to me. Like, this guy knew how to play Jason. I was like, he's like, my favorite one was Jason 6, because like to me that's what I look at as Jason. Like, I know it's like stupid, this conversation that I'm having right now, but that's Jason. If you watch Jason Friday the 13th Part 6, to me that's the perfect Friday the 13th horror film. It was
that's
funny.
The one with
it
where
gory.
He's in the grave and gets electrocuted.
Right, and he turns into a zombie and he kills Horseshack at the beginning of it. Like, to me, there's no other Jason film that was better than this one. I don't care what people say about Freddy vs. Jason. That was another horrible movie. But this one, like, Part 6 was great. This Jason X shit, where people jerking off about Kane Hodder, I'm like, okay, I understand it's cool to have him back, but to me, he's way too, like, he's huge. Like, he's just like a huge kind of Goomba guy.
Yeah, well, it worked for, like, Super Jason at the end.
Right, which is fine, but I don't like Super Jason. I mean, it just does... That is, like, incomprehensible to me. For that, it doesn't make any sense to have them. They just do it just to be like, hey, look, we have an upgraded super cyber version of... the fucking Matrix version of Jason.
Right.
And plus also that I know what Kane Hodder looks like because he's always so out. Can you imagine we're having these deep conversations about Jason? That Kane Hodder, now that I know what he looks like I literally know, I don't know what any other Jason looks like except for I think Jason the remake, that bald guy, because he was in another film that I saw. He was actually pretty good in that and he actually acted. But in this, like, I know what his face looks like. He's like this big, like, he looks like Italian or something, and he's got this, he looks kind of
like a big dude. I know exactly what it looks like.
He looks like if you like a father of somebody from Jersey Shore or something. That's exactly what he kind of looks like, and he has that tough guy attitude, and he's always like, "I'll fuck you up" with anything, because I guess he's trying to make people think he really is Jason. He's he wants people to think he's a 13-year-old boy, a 10-year-old boy that drowned or something. But I know what his face looks like, so when I'm watching the movie, it's like I can almost see his face through the mask. And I'm like, that's like fucking a big Italian guy. That's not Jason. Anyway, yes, there you go. It's very important what I'm talking about. So they have Jason locked up. I guess it's the year 2010 where they have cryogenic machines. Remember that when they built that? I think they actually
Walt Disney.
We really do have that. We really do have cryogenic machines.
So was that's the whole plot of Demolition Man too.
Oh, that's true. That was awesome, that movie. But
that was an awesome movie.
They have cryogenic machines in this one. I just realized there was such a racist joke in that movie Demolition Man, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't part of the film. You know when what's his name? Wesley Snipes. What is his name? He's playing.
I don't remember the name.
Anyway, Wesley Snipes is walking around in that museum that has guns that he's trying to steal, and then there was like a Asian family that's walking around. And then he says like ching chong wing wong ching chong, and I was like, oh my god!
Oh,
if
Simon
they did that
Phoenix.
scene now, right? If they did that scene, I was like, holy shit! They would like sue him for some reason in real life.
They'd be having a petition against it.
I couldn't believe how racist. Like, and that wasn't part of the script, and I felt bad for like the Asian actors. Like, did Wesley Snipes just say something horrifically racist? Anyway, very
he's
good.
supposed to be a bad guy. Like,
I know that's the funny thing about it. But remember, Wesley Snipes also was in Blade 3, and he just decided not to open his eyes for a scene, even though it was directed to happen. He just decided not to, so they, with computer graphics, made his eyes open up in the film.
Is that real?
Yeah. Apparently he's a difficult guy to work with in Part 3, because they were like, apparently at the end of Blade 3, the director was like, couldn't take any more Wesley Snipes shit, and he said, you know what? I've got enough of his fucking footage that we'll use a stuntman for more of the other scenes. Then he kind of was like, I'll take notes with the director instead. Like, he'll just send notes like a passage system. That's how difficult it was. Anyway, back to this movie, Jason X. Jason X.
There's really nothing to say about this.
Right.
The point where I was like actually like getting blush, like I was blushing as I was watching it. Was the scene where the robot girl, like KM or whatever, starts doing backflips
Oh,
and beating it. And it was so cheesy, and I was just
and
like...
it was done in fast forward, right?
I felt like my face, like, warming up because I felt so embarrassed, like, watching the scene, you know? Like,
I mean,
it was really bad.
basically what this film is a takeoff on Alien, and you just replace the alien with Jason. And
but
then also...
everything about it, the music was, like...
bad,
trying to make it... Like, because it's, like, not... It has no feeling of a horror movie with the. I don't understand what they were thinking with the music. I understand.
Here's the thing with Jason
like
films: the Jason soundtracks never really do sound like horror movie soundtracks.
But
like,
this sounds like
really
some kind of like cheesy epic adventure movie.
Yeah, no, this is obviously the worst music out of all the films because
it
like
just
the
doesn't
first
fit. It's strange.
I mean, if you really want to hear a bad Jason song, listen to, even though it's incredibly catchy, it's Jason, I think 3D, Friday the 13th Part 3.
Okay.
And it starts out with a fucking disco song. Like, I mean, I can't explain it over here. It's like it's a disco song. There's no question of what it is, and you're like, what's going on? And then also the other Jason films, they're very like bombastic. We've talked about this before with Part 6, but like the original guy who did the music, I think his name was Henry Manfredi or something like that. It's like, and you're like, what the hell kind of music? This is like, you know. You're thinking
Harry
James Bond is going to walk
Manfredini
around.
did this at Jason X.
Well, then he must have like.
He also did Jason Lives. I mean, I've seen I've seen most of these movies. As far as I know, I've pretty much seen all of them, and
he really fucked up with the music on this one because the music in this is incredible. The only thing that made me laugh was the part where the girl was shooting him to death, and that same it was like dramatic music every time he got back up because it was like so stupid. Anyway, so
then oh god, at one point they like there's this random kiss, and there's like, you want to go for 100 or something. Oh my god.
So this film is basically the plot of Alien, also mixed with Aliens Part 2, which would be Aliens. You know the part when that team shows up and finds Ripley? Imagine if that's the whole movie, and then they have some cheap space marines in it. So it's Alien and Aliens 2. Really badly, poorly made. It's a very bad movie. And we're introduced to Alexa Doig, who is Rowan, who was working, I guess, for this... who was working for, what the hell is his name? Dr. Wimmer, David Cronenberg. And he's like, you know, we want to make money off him, we want to study him. Apparently Jason has only killed 200 people. I would have figured it would have been like thousands of people, but I guess that would make sense. And from the 70s, I guess that's a nice amount of people to kill. David Cronenberg gets killed pretty funnily, him and a group of people. Apparently Jason kills 28 people in this film. I would only guess it would be 26 people. Cause
also what's stupid about this movie is like, it is really stupid actually, thinking about it. Right in the very beginning, like first 10 minutes or something, guy gets his arm chopped off. And it's like,
because Jason was frozen. And
but I'm saying, and then he falls and his knife does, whatever. But I'm just saying, like, so it establishes within 10 minutes that this is a world where you can get your arm chopped off, and 10 seconds later you'll get it attached and be perfectly fine. So how the fuck is Jason killing people if this exists?
Right, ostensibly it's 400 and some odd years in the future. Lexa Doig's character. Lexa Doig is like ethnically questionable. I don't know what she is. She sort of looks Asian, sort of looks white. She's a very pretty girl.
She's super hot.
She's super hot girl. She's not a bad actor. She's pretty good in this film. She's played in Rowan. She gets frozen a la Fry from Futurama. 400 and so many years into the future, she wakes up and she's surrounded by Professor Lowe, who's a scheming guy who's, I guess he has no money in the future. He doesn't have space credits, I guess. That's what they usually... he's surrounded by other characters like Azrael, the kid with the long hair who gets his arm cut off. I could have sworn I've seen him in a lot of films during that era in 2000.
Actually, I have to say, the actors in this movie are probably the best part.
No, the actors are good.
Terrible.
Here's the thing. The production of this film, I didn't think... it wasn't as horrible as I thought. Okay, so it wasn't as bad, maybe because I had such low expectations. It still is a horrible movie, but it's not as painful.
It's all the writing. The writing is terrible in this movie.
Here's the thing. This show... There was a slate of shows like late 90s, early 2000s. There was like Earth Final Conflict, or Tech War, or fucking Andromeda, which a lot of these actors were actually on. And it's like those cheap space action shows. You know how like there was Hercules and Xena? You know those kind of syndicated shows that would just show up on Channel 11 or something?
They're
whatever
like
odd
cult
channel
classics. I've never understood it, but
yeah, I mean, I
like,
couldn't get
the
into
chick
it. It's
that
sort of
plays
like,
Xena.
like people like Firefly and stuff like that. I'm sure Firefly was probably better than those shows, but I tried to watch one episode and I just didn't bother with it. And it was like it's basically what this is like a cheap actually a higher budgeted episode of those cheap science fiction shows, but Jason Voorhees is in it. It's just like a cast of characters in a spaceship, and then they fight a monster, which is basically what those shows are. The writer Todd Farmer, who plays that bald guy in the virtual scene, the guy who gets killed, I think gets his face smashed into a wall. I don't know whether it was that guy or the other guy that gets an actual stuntman broke their nose in that scene. So I don't know if it was him or the fat guy that got their nose broken.
I hope it was the guy who wrote it.
It was I think it was actually a stuntman, so it wasn't him. So unfortunately,
I thought that a couple of the deaths were cool in the movie. I gotta
no,
say,
the deaths were way better than I remembered. Well, actually, for the most part, they were. There's KM-14, who is a cyborg played by Lisa Ryder, and I don't know whether it's on purpose. I always thought she had a bizarre haircut, but I guess that might have been a nod to Ghost in the Shell, but I might be wrong.
I don't think they would do anything like thoughtful.
There's a character named Motoko or Makoto. It's probably Motoko, who has that sort of weird mushroom hairstyle, and I was like, is that her hair or something? But yeah, she's a robot. I guess she's supposed to be funny. She becomes like a battle droid towards the end, and it's really embarrassing how the editing is on that scene.
Yeah, how did she do it? They must have. If I were her, I'd be like, you better like double my salary, like for me to say this line.
There's
no way.
There's a list of characters. There's the kind of bitchy character. There's the two horny co-ed kids. I guess they're all students that are, flying around. There's the nerdy smart kid. There's Peter Mensa playing the head of the military people. There's
I like that
military
guy.
guys.
He's cool.
Yeah, he's cool because I was like, why didn't he live? Why didn't he survive? He just comes back and fights. He would be like the Ash of the Evil Dead films for this kind of film. There's that hot blonde science girl that gets
I can't believe you just went there. Don't even bring up such royalty in this movie review.
There's that hot blonde scientist girl with the questionable clothing that gets her face frozen and smashed. That was a good death.
Yeah, that was.
The cool black dude that sacrifices himself. I wish he had lived for some reason because he was willing to, sacrifice the whole group just to not kill other people, and then that's why it made sense that he killed himself at the end by blowing himself up. I mean, basically what we're watching is it is like a sci-fi channel show with a slightly higher budget. There's no real innovations in directing in this film.
Can you imagine that they dropped $11 million on this movie?
Really?
What did they do with it?
I mean, this is when this.
No, but I've seen movies with like $1 million budgets that like make such better use of it than this.
Oh,
movie.
Of course, yeah, because they have style and they know how to use their their lack of cash to make something inventive. It puts you on your feet. This is like $11 million.
$17 million. I'll like.
So $6 million,
like a community or something.
And there are some like artistic stuff, like the suit that the Peter Mensa guy wears at the end, that space suit he has to wear looked cool. Some of the effects look all right. For the most part, it's pretty cheap, but it's like I don't know. Like I gotta
say the music is the worst part.
It is. It's pretty bad,
of course.
And I mean, they have some cool ideas, like that station where you lay yourself down, and that sort of like weird fluid, snake fluid, heals you up and stuff like that.
Like
that's pretty neat for this film.
Or something.
I don't know why. Jason gets blown apart in the film, and then that's how it kind of turns him into Super Jason by looking for alternative stuff.
Well, I guess his body rebuilds him with nanotechnology or something.
Right, and it builds him basically with like steel or whatever. And I don't know how that turns him into a cyborg. I don't know why that builds him a fucking mask. It should just be his face. It's not a fucking mask. I don't understand why he should have a mask on his face.
Maybe the mask melted to his face or something.
Right, no, actually his face got blown off, remember? But it still built a mask on his face, so I don't know how that happened.
I guess
you saw his face get blown off
and helped him design it or something.
And they're just trying to do really bad jokes on purpose because there's that whole sequence where Jason throws a guy on a screw and he's just like spinning down and dies, and then like somebody
Or
asks
when they
if she
stab
girl,
the,
and she
when they
goes,
stab that cool guy Peter or whatever, and like he's like, "Oh, that was it," or "Oh."
yeah, I laugh at that. That was because it was a bad joke. But also the part when the girl goes, "He's screwed," about the guy who fell on the screw. I was like, "Oh man!" Like Todd Farmer was like really like winking and laughing at the audience. I was like, "This will be great." But I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make this a funny horror film, just like any other horror.
Jason's not supposed to be outright funny. Jason's supposed to get his humor.
Well, Jason
from,
himself
like,
isn't
the
funny.
deaths.
The other characters are supposed to be fun, not supposed to be funny either.
No,
But
what's funny is the idea of like teenagers having sex and there's a crazy zombie thing that kills them with a knife. That's what's supposed to be funny, not like.
that's the one
stupid
thing I thought
puns
even
and
from
shit.
back. That's the one thing I thought even from back then was that joke with the two virtual girls that are getting naked in front of him. Because
Right.
it was like obviously a joke. That joke I thought was always the best because it had a great cutaway and then it cut back to him just beating the girls.
Yeah,
to
that's
death with
what
each other.
Jason humor is supposed to be, or something.
And that
or
was
like
a callback to I think one of the other Jason films, obviously, where he puts the girl inside of the.
There's one where Jason goes on a boat. It might be the Manhattan one. I'm not sure, but whatever. He's on a boat.
Yeah,
and
if
there's
he
somebody
was on a
like
boat, that was that one. Yeah.
there's somebody just like cowering, and he's just staring at them for like a really long time, and then he kills them, and it's like that's funny because it's just like so pointlessly dragged out of their fear, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I
with
don't
this film, it effectively killed the franchise because
Yeah.
then, like years, a couple. Well, maybe it didn't kill it because I guess Jason versus Freddy was right after that. And that's
that
a
one's
whole
like
other thing.
okay, I guess. I don't know.
I hated that movie. And then after that one, they had Jason the remake, and I remember people going crazy because you know Jason usually
I never
just kinda
actually saw it. I had no interest.
I saw some of it because I was still working in a theater when that was playing. How long I worked in? I really worked in a theater for a long time. It was very embarrassing. And Jason, I remember the big deal was that Jason was running after people instead of how he kind of just walked and eventually got to you, and there was like nothing you could do about it. And that one he was actually running after people, and people were like shitting their pants watching him run. Apparently, I heard it was good. I don't know. I didn't watch that remake. I didn't see the Freddy remake. All I remember from that one is there was
we should do a remake month.
No. All I remember from that was some guy making out with a mannequin because he was a pervert, and then a scene where a guy was getting straddled by a girl, and he was like, "Your breasts are awesome," and that was his line in the film, and I was like, "Oh boy!" And there was an Asian guy in the film, and they killed him too. But yeah, Jason X is not a good. I don't know. I mean, is it not a good movie? Is it embarrassing? Is it really awful?
It's just not worth watching.
Yeah, I mean, this
That's
is you can tell that
to me is the worst insult you could say about a horror movie.
because
I'd watch a bad movie.
I mean, him turning into a cyber Jason, like when I saw that, I was like, this is like fucking Super Shredder from Ninja Turtles 2, a movie I didn't like either.
Oh, come on.
I didn't. What do you want me to say? Listen, I saw part 1. I was a kid who could recognize a good movie at least back then. And I saw it part 1, and I thought that was like the greatest Ninja Turtles, the greatest Ninja Turtles. Obviously, it was the only Ninja Turtles movie that ever came out. And I loved it. And then I saw part 2, and I think why I got pissed off because it wasn't Bebop and Rocksteady, it was Toka and Razor. And I
Yeah,
was
but
like,
then
what's
they
going
became
on?
cool in the video games and shit.
Nah,
Come on.
well,
the third
fine,
one
that's
was
fine for the
terrible.
video
I'll
game.
agree with that.
And then
but-
and it had Vanilla Ice dancing around, and then it had Shredder turn into a giant fucking monster. I was like, what's going on in this movie? Although Shredder looked pretty cool, it was shitty. I didn't like that movie. It was just off. It was bad. And then the worst one was part 3.
We'll
anyway,
agree to disagree.
yes, but Jason X is a film where they fuck up the franchise. I mean, listen, when you watch a Jason film, it's Jason running around in the woods killing people. That's what the formula is with those films, and they must have done a hard sell to be like, let's take this into a new direction. They try to do it with Jason Goes to Manhattan, and you know what? Motherfucker shows up in Manhattan in the last 10 minutes. Huh?
We don't want
Yeah,
Jason
exactly.
in outer space. We want
I
him in the
mean,
woods.
just leave him in fucking. It's like they won't take Michael Myers to space. You know what I mean? They won't take Freddy to space. They learn. They're smart. But those are characters you can kind of do stuff with. Well, not Michael Myers, but Freddy and Chucky, you can do stuff. Jason, you can I guess throw him anywhere, and they fucked it up with this one. It's just not. I don't like it. I mean, it's stupid. It's a stupid movie. and if you're not a fan of those sci-fi shows, you're not gonna like this because that's basically what it is.
Well,
This
I
reminded
am
me
a fan of sci-fi, and when I watched this,
No, I meant like
insulting.
Sci-Fi Network. Sci-Fi Network. You know.
Yeah,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
no,
You do. Yeah, you like Battlestar Galactica and stuff like that.
Battlestar Galactica
well,
is like millions of light years beyond those shows.
Right. Obviously, that's a whole. But that was on the Sci-Fi Channel. That's why I'm saying you like Sci-Fi Channel shows. And this reminded me of there was an episode of what Thunder in Paradise was, to go back to those syndicated cheap shows. It was a show that was like Hulk Hogan, and he was like on a boat, and he would save people's lives and stuff. And they had an episode, I'm not kidding, where they fought the Predator, but legally, since they didn't have the rights to the Predator, they called it something else. It was basically an invisible alien that attacked them. It was the Predator. It had the same. You know how Predator looked like when he disappeared, and he's walking around, you see like a blur. That's what it was. Look up Thunder in Paradise with Predator. It was embarrassing. Anyway, this movie fucking was stupid. If you don't like those Sci-Fi Channel shits, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. It's me being nice.
Quite generous.
Oh, I can't wait to hear yours. 5 out of 10. That girl on the escape ship blowing herself up. That was pretty funny. That was a good one. 5 out of 10. Handing Jason Voorhees back his original machete, then turning around and telling everybody it's okay.
I actually like that part. That was like the only part I enjoyed, actually.
Yikes.
I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 10.
Ooh.
2 out of 10,000.
Well, I feel bad. I feel like I should make it lower, but my expectations are so low.
No, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10. Showing your creator your new boobs, and then your nipples fall off to the ground.
That's a good one. That was a good
like
one.
coins.
Yeah, this ain't a good movie. Lexa Doig is hot though. Not so much anybody else. I did like that girl's cleft chin, the one that was fucking the Spanish guy. Anyway, with that, Danny, what's a fun word?
Nutrition facts.
The horror deconstruction.